So let's talk about Keith Thurman. So I was reading, he did an interview with Fight Hub, but I read it on a couple websites, Eastside Boxing, Boxing 24/7, and Boxing 24 News. So he said once he hit Fundora, it's gonna change everything. But I talk about that towards the middle end. But he said Fundora hasn't really faced top opposition. He said, Lubin had never recovered from the Charlo loss. Who else did he fight? He said Tim Tszyu in the rematch had already been, pummeled. That's crazy. One thing about Tim Tszyu, to keep it a bean, the crazy thing about Tim Tszyu, man, is that, had he not ran his head into Fondora's elbow, he was on his way to knocking Fundora out. That moment, that's crazy how a moment can change your life or change your career. That moment changed him. And had he quit and stopped the fight, maybe he would have, took some time off to heal, maybe, but he was trying to chase validation. And I think he was trying to chase American public validation. And that's why he rushed back into the fight with Sebastian Fundora, in my opinion. I feel like that's why he rushed back into that fight. And I could be wrong, but I rushed back into the fight with, what was the dude's name? Backround Mazavliev. But that one moment changed him, because he was on his way to knocking knocking Fundora the fuck out. He was on his way to knocking him out. But then, you continue on, and he pointed those out. I mean, he's fought Brian Mendoza. Who else has he fought? Man, damn, who did he fight? He fought Tim Tszyu 2 times. He fought Mendoza. Lubin. Damn, he fought another brother too. Oh, he fought he didn't fight Tony Harrison. Damn, who did he fight? It don't seem like he fought too many people, to be honest. I'm trying to go through my Rolodex real quick. Did he fight Brian Mendoza? Not Brian Mendoza, but Brian like, damn, who did this kid fight, man? Like, they fight so I feel like I'm forgetting the major name. But nonetheless, I don't think Keith at 37 years old is at the top of his game right now. I think this is a horrible matchup for Keith. Keith probably had no other way to making no money, respectfully. And I don't think this gonna go well. I see Keith getting stopped by the 6th round. And I'm being nice in the 6th round. Yeah, I mean, realistically, he ain't really fought nobody. He had a debatable Jamonte Clark, somebody that's just as big as he is, damn near. Jamonte Clark, a lot of people thought Jamonte Clark won it. Well, he's 6'2". About 6'2". He never avenged that loss. He fought Nathaniel Gallimore. He already had some losses. Jorge Cota, Sergio Garcia, Lubin, Ocampo, Mendoza, Tim Tszyu, Cordell Bicker, Yeah, I mean, Keith might be right. He really ain't fought no elite fighter. You know what I'm saying? And what scared me about this fight for Keith is he old and fragile. He got clipped in his last fight. Nobody really paid attention to it. They was calling me crazy. He got clipped in when he went to Australia. That dude hurt Keith Thurman. You know what I'm saying? He hurt Keith. I'm telling you, he hurt Keith Thurman. And, but Keith look old, bro. Keith has always been fragile, always been injured. People saying that Fundora could be off the Orange Juice Jones. He could be off of it. Bicep tearing, his body breaking down. I don't know, man. I heavily favor Fundora in this fight. I don't even see it as competitive. But outside of Keith having a puncher's chance, Keith gas tank always fade. He like to fight in spurts. I see Fundora throw a whole bunch of punches. He is susceptible to to getting clipped. I mean, he's a tall fighter. You know what I'm saying? So, but for Keith to win this fight is really going to start with, jab. And Keith is just not a jab dominant fighter. But also the hooks that Keith probably practicing on, the hook that Mendoza worked on, Keith can crack for sure. Keith can crack. The way Keith throw hooks. So Keith got a chance, and Keith is more experienced, and he was a blue chip fighter, you know, about 20 years ago. I'm joking, about some years ago. But the way he looked old, he looked fragile. Maybe it's the hair. Even when you watch him box, he's not as fluid. He's not as quick. But in that, he's gained a lot of knowledge. He's a smart fighter. He's smart outside the ring, because what he did versus Pacquiao was just dumb. To be walking to box Pacquiao and not bring a jab in your straight right hand. I don't know how you can fight a southpaw and not bring a jab right hand. You know, that's crazy to me. But, you know, I mean, he got a point. He really ain't been in there with the elites, you know, didn't get to Charlo. So I think that was the one guy, you know, ain't been in there with Virgil, ain't been in, you know, Doug Xander, not saying he elite. So, I mean, I guess he got a point. I guess he got a point, to be real. So, you know, if Keith clip him, I mean, shit, shout out to Keith, bro. You know, Keith name might be back in the game. You know, Earl might be willing to fight him. Earl Tim Zewinner might fight him. I don't know if he'll fight Charlo, but you know, if he Keith, you know, a jab, you know, a couple jabs, some body work might be able to get you to place that left right hook upstairs. But boy, oh boy, if you can't hurt this kid, Keith, and keep this kid off of you, you ain't gonna be able to move versus this kid for Keith Thurman getting stopped. That's what I would say. But Keith Thurman can punch too. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I'm not sure he's been in there with a puncher like Keith Thurman. You know, piercing, quick punch, good hooker. No, Fundora susceptible to some hooks. So I think the number one thing Keith needs to do is control the lead hand. Is make Fundora give up his lead hand. You know, start hitting him with some good shots. Maybe kind of, you know, finesse him into just touch him, make him think he can take the power, and then, you know, walk him into something. But, you know, you fight Fundora, it's important to take the lead hand. And once you take that lead hand away, he started closing the gap with his face. The defense go out the way. He likes to close the gap, you know, without using the jab. You know, when Tim Tszyu cut himself, he started holding Tim Tszyu with the jab and shit, you know, controlling his head with the jab and shit, you know. So he started using his reach more. But if you can control that lead hand with Tim Tszyu, with Fundora, and give him to give up the height, I mean, you got a chance. You got a chance. Well, you know, you got a chance. So, I mean, he got to control that lead hand. And if that's something that he's not going to do, he better help he land something significant and he finish him. Keith Thurman ain't no good finisher. But in this fight, he better finish him. You fight a guy that big, liver shots, punch to the chest, control body shots, control the lead hand, and try to clip him. So, quite frankly, they both, you know, I don't know. I just like Fundora by a lot. I'm pulling for Keith though. I like Keith. But he might get his walking papers right here. But key is controlling that lead hand and putting some body work in. Keith Thurman don't have a good jab. I mean, I ain't gonna say you don't have a good, you just don't like using it. Or Sean Porter, he hooking with Sean Porter. You know what I'm saying? Fuck you hooking with Sean Porter for. You know, you trying to prove a point. Keith Thurman could have used that jab, used his straight right hand, and picked and choose his hooks for Sean Porter. That's all Bud did. Bud used the jab and controlled distance first time. It took a minute. But we just seeing that Keith Thurman is not on that level, a caliber fighter. Bud will hook with you. Bud will throw straight shots. He'll throw uppercuts. He'll throw left hooks, right hooks. You know, he'll jab his way to a victory if he have to. And that's the difference with Keith Thurman. And that Pacquiao fight showed it all. You know, people saying he was jabbing and throwing the right hand and taking a step back because of Pacquiao. Man, do you not know when you was throwing that jab and throwing that straight right, you were stopping Pacquiao in his tracks? You want to know, he wasn't jumping back in after that. Keith should have kept going. You behind. You fucking behind. Or should have used the pivot and used the angle. That's what I was talking about, dog. He was taking the jab right hand, taking 2 steps back, then it took a step, then it took a half step back. Like, bro, you better go for it. You know what I'm saying? Even when you take step back versus Pacquiao, prime Pacquiao would have clipped you again. Now, older Pacquiao couldn't get to point A to point D like he used to. But it's a whole different conversation for a different day. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Hit the link in the description. Say find me everywhere from X, Facebook, Kick, Twitch, Instagram, the whole 9. Peace.